Hello, good morning in the morning. This is Teketeke Nation Live, and the program on air is Silenced Truth. And why Silenced Truth? Is because our society, as we live today, we have got a lot of pressure. Too much pressure, left, right, center. People are living with a lot of pressure. But then, the worrying thing is that despite all this pressure, we always fight kubana hii pressure chini ya carpet. So we are undergoing a lot of pressures. Tuko kwa WhatsApp group, unaumia, umeshindwa kukop na watu ambao uko nao, but then you struggle every day to hide this stuff chini ya meza. You don't want to come out and be the real you. On this segment, and today I'm excited because we have a guest. We'll talk about the different ways our young people wana undergo pressure, wana undergo challenges, lakini wameshindwa kuzi-overcome because they are struggling to meet societal expectations. And today, we want to dissect this fact and just ask ourselves, must you and I really work day and night only to conform to societal requirements, societal needs, societal pressure? Pole, hii kizungu saa zingine nasumbuka kidogo. So allow me to introduce our guest. Karibu sana. Unaitwa nani dada yangu? Alafu pia ukasalimie Wakenya wenzetu.
Good morning. My name is Doris Kisahi. I'm a Kenyan, a human being.
A human being, yes. So that I confirm.
To say confused. I work with the Higher Education Loans Board in the Corporate Communication Department. Currently, I'm also working with a few other organizations where we are doing rallies to get pads to various girls across the country.
Great. So the purpose of doing these pads project is to enable girls go to school.
Yeah, stay in school.
Stay in school.
Because most of them go and they can't stay in school during their menstrual period. So I'm trying, in my small way, trying to get these girls stay in school throughout.
Great. Is it something maybe, sorry to ask you on air, but is it something we could talk, because I'm really looking forward to having a discussion on the effects of menstrual health on girls' learning outcomes.
Okay. What I saw, I got this from my mother in the village. She's a teacher, a primary school teacher, and what she does, she stocks pads at home. So whenever there is a neighbor who she sends on errand or someone, she would pay them as agreed, but she would also make sure that she gives them pads. So personally,
I need to meet your mother.
So personally, I don't have like a charity per se, but what I decided when I saw that is that every time there are friends or there are people I know who are running such projects in a way that is structured, I always hop on to.
Okay.
So like the most recent we did was during my birthday. I told my friends that we will not celebrate.
You turned 50?
No.
Oh, bad.
I'm still young. You know, women don't say their age. But they helped me, and we gave some almost 600 packets of pads to girls in Kajiado.
Great. Amazing work. So maybe what you could do is one of these fine days when you have time, we can spend some time just to talk about how a simple thing like a sanitary towel can affect girls' education and they end up not going to school.
Sure.
Things we take for granted.
Very granted.
Okay.
Yes.
So today we are talking about societal pressure and how it's affecting how our young people are living their lives. So what is this societal pressure?
Maybe in a layman's language, I would just say it's living according to people's expectations and what you think is the norm. Because when you were born as a man, you were told a man is the head of the house. So as you grow up, you're always told that a man is the head of the house. If it's a lady, you're always told that you must learn how to cook. You don't even climb trees. For some of us who grew up in shacks with boys, we still do climb trees to date. So there are just those small things that you are told not to
do because of societal expectations.
Or do because it's what everyone else does.
So what makes us not to be ourselves and always live our lives just working so hard to conform to the society is placing ahead of us?
I would think the first thing would be our families.
So families have a big role in this.
Have a big role, because when whoever your family is, and in this context, I don't say families as mother, father. It's someone, or it's a group of people in where you grew up in. So, for example, let's say in the first one that we all know, family, mother, father. When you're born and your family, maybe let's say, lives in a certain place, or they conform to certain standards, they will tell you must do this. If you are a child born in a pastor's family, you are expected to go to church.
Ulime maombi.
Utoe ushuhuda. And at some point, even if you're a Christian, you're not a Christian enough until maybe you speak in tongues. Because your father is or your mother is a
bishop or something.
Bishop and all that. If, for example, you grew up in a family where your parents are farmers, you are expected at some point to go into the farm and help out, you know. And if you're born in a family, let's say like it's a suburb area, a very wealthy area, people expect you to always have money. You know, you grow up knowing, because my father and my mom, or whatever family I've defined, has a lot of money, then I'm expected to always have money. So you even get into debts to always make sure that you fit certain standards. You always go to certain places, you buy clothes from certain places. So I would say that is the first bit, our family, they dictate on how we grow up. The second would be the culture.
So culture also has a role.
Yes, especially for us Africans. I think maybe for Wazungu
the Wazungus and the Waindis.
Even Waindis. And like, for example, if I may digress a bit, this week there is the lowest caste of Indians, where there was a girl who was molested, was actually raped, and they went into the streets. And what came out is that other Indians who are of a higher caste always oppress these young people. They rape them and they get away with it. So if you look at that expectation that the lowest of the lowest who are poor and all that cannot maybe seek for justice because they are not supposed to. The judges and all those come from the rich family. So if I come back to Kenya, in our culture, there are things that we are expected to do as cultures. I know there are tribes where men never step into the kitchen, and if you are seen, it's so bad.
Mimi naingia bwana, mimi njaa hizi nimemea. There is no way I'll stay hungry and the kitchen is I'll walk in.
So there are people who can't. They would rather go out and eat or sleep on empty stomachs.
But they can never step in the kitchen.
They can never step in the kitchen. To date, we are talking about Kenyans who cannot go to school, females who cannot go to school. At class 8, you already have a suitor, and that suitor is at the age of your grandfather.
So you are your parents or your guardians push into early marriage, and that is it.
Yeah, they push you into that. You cannot, like, you don't have your own goals. You don't have your own ambitions. You don't have your own dreams. Everyone dictates on what your dream should be. So the culture comes in, and that's what nasema mtoto ni wa society.
Mtoto ni wetu sisi.
Ni wetu. And it's good, because sometimes these collective efforts will help us make these kids' dream come true, like when we go from Chango and get these kids to school and all that. That's proper. But on the flip side, this society, they'll tell you, ukifika a certain age, you're supposed to get married.
Unaolewa lini? Unaoa lini? Au kai na mani?
You get married, unaulizwa unazaa lini? Unapata first born, unaulizwa second born anakuja lini?
But you see, we end up marrying wrong people because tuko na pressure. Hatuna time ya to make our own choices.
Exactly. Because the society imekwambia you must get married, you do. And if you choose not to have kids, you know, like, do you have a problem? Or if you have a problem still, wanakuuliza mbona mjenda sijui mwende kuchuniwa and all that. And it's always mwanamke ndiye anachuniwa.
Mwanamke ndiye akona
problem. You must go and do it. And if it's a man, you cannot come out and say I have a problem, it's not my wife, because then that would mean you are a weakling. So, umekaliwa chapati. So all along, you know very well, maybe your wife is okay, you are the one with a problem, but she will always take the blame.
Society can't allow you as a man utoke nje useme I am the problem.
I am the problem. Even when it comes to, let's say, relationships, as men or young boys, they are encouraged to go out. Let me say, like where I come from, when they are after circumcision, boys are encouraged to go out and explore sex and know whether they are okay or not. But when they are told to go out there, are they also told about HIV? Are they told about hepatitis? Are they told about these kids out of wedlock kids? There's a lot of pressure on how to maintain them. Do they even have income to take care of kids? So there are those cultural expectations that push us into some decisions. But are they good decisions?
That's the question.
Yeah.
So and just to check, so in the recent times, we've seen many cases in Kenya, different parts, different counties. Askari amepiga wengine risasi, couples wana just relationship issues are becoming very complicated, and even some extent you see parents killing their own children. So all these are mental issues. So could there be a problem in a society at the moment, or is it a COVID issue?
I don't think it's a COVID issue. Partly yes, maybe because the people who lost jobs or something. COVID has changed.
So they've lost their livelihoods and
there's a lot to do with. There's also parts that COVID has played, but apart from just I've talked about culture and I've talked about family. There's also us. There's also things about us that we push. We push for perfectionism.
We want to be perfect.
We want to be perfect. And so, what is perfect?
So within the small groups, in these WhatsApp groups, within our churches, within tukirudi nyumbani family meeting, unataka uonekane wewe ndio bazenga.
Ndio kusema, you are the perfect one. And what is perfection? We get perfection from different areas. We get perfections from what we see online, social media. We get perfections from our colleagues. You know, we want to be like so and so. We get perfection from comparing ourselves with our siblings. We consume a lot of information. You know, what is perfection?
What's perfection?
Because when God made everything, he saw it was good.
Yes, in his own eyes. Yes.
In his own eyes. And this includes us. We are good, we are perfect in our own way. So when we continue chasing perfection, then what is it? So you see, guys, we see people killing each other right now. Mental health at its peak, I think. As long as I've lived, I think
it's
the worst that I've ever seen. And when you see someone kill their own kids, then you start asking, you wanted these kids in the first place.
Then what has changed?
Your own flesh and blood. Then again, what has changed? Like would you look at your son and think one day that I would actually butcher this son?
It's like you say, what is within the minds and the hearts of the people out here is deep. It cuts deep. And so maybe I wouldn't advocate for doing anything bad, but I would really want to look at what's the problem that is pushing people to the wall to an extent that they can butcher their own children, their own. This is the woman of your life. You chased her. You protected her so much from other men because we were here. We wanted her, and now you take her and you kill her. This is the man, tall, dark, and handsome, that you were disturbing us, not sleeping, all this all of things because of this tall and dark handsome guy, and then you kill him.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We are doing that because there are so many things that we have, we don't talk. For a few men that I've talked to, I think for men it's more of you're expected kukua ngumu. You know,
ukae ngumu. Wanaume hali.
And here you are, you're trying to provide and you've just lost your job. Your business is not doing well. You have, one thing that really shocked me is there are quite a number of men who were abused when they were young. But they never talked about it because by then platforms were not there for people to talk about such things. And right now when we're now becoming open, guys are opening up and you talk to someone you've grown up with, they were always perfect, and you realize your friend was being abused right under your eyes, your nose, and you could not tell. And those things have permanent effects on people. We've been talking about girls being raped a lot. We know that there is a conversation about that, but have we talked about boys?
No, we haven't, because you see, I think I'm looking at myself in an event that I get myself now kwa group ya boys club. Na niwaambie ati, by the way, kuna jeshi fulani ilikuwa imenihanda. Those guys will think huyu msanii bana eh. So and it's even so difficult for me as a man to tell my father, my mother that so and so is doing this. So nakufa tu nayo. In the long run ina mess.
Nakumess vibaya. Because then how will you handle your boys? If, for example, such a thing happens right now when it's very rampant. So people don't talk about it. There's also a lot about our parents. We know there's, especially in an African setting, we have tough parenthood, where we parent our kids by the road, and we say all these bad things about our kids. Yeah? Mjinga, ubwa, nini, wewe,
Kondo. Mjinga kama mama yako.
Mjinga kama mama yako. and then also we have guys who, let's say you were born out of wedlock, and I know there's a lot about stigma about that in an African society where wewe ni mtoto wa nje, we call them mtoto wa nje.
Mtoto wa nje huyu, si mtoto wa boma.
Mtoto wa nje ni nani? Can we nje haitakikani? You know. So there are things that we grew up in,
and we normalize them.
And even poverty. You know, I heard someone say poverty stinks.
It stinks.
It does stink. It robs you of your dignity. It robs you of your self-esteem.
Yes.
It robs you of every other human, like the little human value that we have. So when
poverty is a beast.
It is. So guys grow up, and you always imagine that I will go to school. You work so hard. You go to school. You go to primary. You go to secondary. You get into government system in university, and you're hoping that this is towards the best. You get out here.
Kamefunguka.
Unemployment inakuhit. Back into that cycle of poverty. So imagine the whole of my life.
Nimejaribu iko hivi na kurudisha chini kabisa.
Imagine nimesoma vizuri. I've always said I'm an A student. And then here I am, I'm unemployed. I can't even make the next meal. You know, that eats into you. That mimi too, was I cast into poverty?
Sure.
Such things.
It's not perfect.
Or right now, there are guys who earn it all. And then COVID imekuja.
Imeosha kila kitu. Mosho tu mmoja.
Crumble down. Well, imagine you're used to giving your kids sausage every morning. And now, the kid wakes up and anakuambia, Daddy, naomba chai, not even sausage. Chai iko wapi, and we don't have money.
You can't afford.
You used to live in this posh estate where you had your own compound and all that.
Meshuka.
And then all of a sudden you have to go into some place where you're sharing basic things like washrooms because you can't afford the other place. That shift, I don't think.
Affect sana.
It will affect, definitely.
Sure.
Utaumia.
So before we proceed, to our viewers, this is Teketeke Nation Live, and the program on air is Silenced Truth. We are talking about this because currently within our societies, kuna vitu mingi zina happen. Watu wako a lot of pressure. If you see left and center, watu wanauana. Couples ambao walikuwa wanapendana, wakitembea meshikana mikono, sasa hizo wamekuwa maadui, wanacheza hivi kama US na Afghanistan. And we need to understand what is the problem. So rather than conforming to the society na kunyamaza like the whole world would choose to, we would like to take this step and speak about this stuff so that kama uko na problem, tuko na issues pale chini za tusumbua, let us speak out. There is someone somewhere who's willing to speak to you and listen to your story so that we share and be in a position to support one another. We may not be in a position to give you money, but at least a problem shared is halfway solved. Ingia pale YouTube Teketeke Nation Live, tafadhali subscribe, and pale chini on our screen you would see Teketeke Kura Solutions, who are the sponsors of this program. Ukiwa na parcel within Nairobi, you want to deliver it, umesema uko Higher Education Loans Board, inafuata ndio kudeliver hizi help pesa, badala kuwekea watu kwa account mnatupatia, tunapeleka na delivery motorbike inapelekea kila mwanafunzi wa government university anapelekwa pesa yake akiwa imebebwa kwa na courier box. So Doris, just to get it clearly from you, how can, especially now in the days of technology, kila kitu iko online, how can we manage the issue of young people wako a lot of influence inatoka pale online? Instagram pictures napigwa ziko fine, thank you. Ukienda Facebook, your friends wako Mombasa, wengine wako Lamu, wengine wako Kakamega, wewe umegoma tu hapa Githurai, inakusumbua. How can our young people overcome the pressure that emanate from social media life?
I think if you'd even follow me on my social pages, guys know I'm a big advocate of what I call detox. Personally, I don't transact a lot of business online, so for me, I'm not obliged to stay online 24/7 all the days of the week or of the year. So I deliberately do take breaks from social media. I'm never on social throughout for the 12 months. The maximum I do is 10 months.
So you don't take a break for 2 months?
Then I take a break for 2 months. Not necessarily consecutively. I can do like even 7 months. No, I always try to be 1 month because they say a habit is usually formed within 21 days. So I imagine if I do less than a week, then I would not have achieved the goals I wanted. I would just be like a denial. So I try to be a longer period so that I know, in case I've gone too much, then what am I depriving myself of? So, and then another thing that I do now with smartphones, we have, you can track your screen time. So there are times that I see my screen time is too much, and I just retrieve. I retract and just say, no, I can't do this, I need to stop. Those are my personal things. And then I try and read. So for me, I found, apart from other hobbies that I do, I enjoy reading. So I try and have as many books as possible. I try to be in communities where people are reading, so that effectively then brings down my social.
Reading is a game changer.
Yeah. And you don't have to read big books. You know, my life, 5 a.m. club and all that. Just by reading books, whether it's fiction and all that, it transforms your mind into something, even a fantasy world. Then it would mean there are things that you are thinking of that you would not think if you're just on social or you're given something. Your brain is becoming creative and all that. So those are my own personal things. But I've seen other people do that. For example, if you're there for business, because I know there are people who transact on
online that doing business.
Yes. So just find something else that gives you pleasure. Be in communities that are not necessarily online. I've seen people do workout groups. I've seen people meet and go for picnics. You and your kids, you can have that when you're having meals, we don't have to watch telly. Like mealtime, no phones, no what and all.
Focus.
Another thing that I actually picked recently from, I can't really remember the name online, but do you know, when you go and meet someone or when you're talking to someone and you have your phone on the table, whether face up or down, that's disrespectful. Because it means you're anticipating something.
You're anticipating something, which means you are not focusing on this.
You're not focusing. So if you're with your family, if you are with your friends or someone, and you're having a conversation, like for 30 minutes, just put your phone somewhere so you can't see it, have it on silent, so you can't even pick a call. The small things, you can't have the big. For me, I don't think we can get rid of social completely. Yeah. Because that's like,
you just need to find a ways of adapting.
Of adapting it your own ways. There is never a script to it. For me, it's always I have to stop myself from going too much. I am a digital marketer enthusiast. I love digital marketing, which means I'm always on social. I should always be on social, but I choose to not be on social. Why? If I see my friend is in Cliffy every other
mchezo na maji na wewe fare una
boss
ya kwenda tao tu hapa
itaniingia lazima. It's a fact.
Kalon umechukua umeenda umuonyeshe picha zikuje.
I see there's also at this group I think people have on Facebook that I heard of, I'm not a member of women who share their home decor, the way they've done their homes.
I think women who share their home
the way they have improved their homes and do something.
So they share online.
Photos and all that. So you see hapo mtu ameweka alinunua sijui kiti ya
kingine.
Ameweka sijui curtains alienda ka import from Turkey. Sijui what and all that. It's good.
What do they want to achieve?
It's good for motivational purposes and all that if you can. But I'm just thinking, if for example my husband is a hawker, and I know that hawking is a business or is a mtu wa biashara mkono, they depend on walking clients. We don't have some sort of assured income. If I'm in that group and I'm seeing that every day, what would that do to my mental health?
Itakuvunja. Because you start competing na hauwezi fika. Haufiki bei.
Kweli? Kweli nitaanza kuambia tusonge twende nyumba nyingine. Can we afford?
Ma loans zingine unstructured wrong decisions.
Very. So and let's say this husband yule mwenye amefurahi alipata bibi mwenye they can't talk back, they can't tell you I'm struggling. So anaenda anachukua loans and at some point you realize your husband is just becoming someone else because they are strained and they can't tell you because they want to impress you. Live a certain standard. So for social, I think it's a personal and deliberate decision for you to take a step back and say, is this what I want? Also, the pages you follow for your personal accounts, they say curate your timeline. If you're into politics and that's what you want to see, then let's say
focus.
Have people who give you the content that you want and the content that you think you can consume. If you are into education, then follow those pages that are that. If you go into Instagram and you are an interior designer, then you would follow accounts that have that professionally, not necessarily just friends who would show off whatever they want on social. So I think for social, that is majorly a personal thing, but it has to be very deliberate. And even your kids, the way you put them on social, YouTube kids. Why would you have your 2-year-old on YouTube Kids half the day? If they're not napping, they're on YouTube Kids. I'm not a parent. And this is a disclaimer that I'm giving. I am not a parent. But I think there are things that kids can do that are not necessarily...
Some creative stuff that can help them even develop.
Those coloring books, buy them and encourage them, do them with them. They will pick up, because kids do things based on what they see, not necessarily what you tell them to. So if they see me with a book, then your kid will pick the book. If they see you coloring, they will do
color
that.
as well.
I see people go to Huru Park and all that during the weekend. Mostly it's those people who cannot afford YouTube Kids. But for me, it usually warms my heart to see a dad and a mom and their kids.
Unashika mtoyo na cross pale Uhuru Highway. Unaingia fiti unasema yeah.
I love that. And sometimes I go and sit and watch. Because it warms my heart. Wanakula hiyo ice cream like Bob and Nini.
Wamefunika hivi.
And they are so happy. They're outside, they're doing. So I think for me, social, I would just say it's a personal choice.
Okay.
And we can do it.
Yeah, so guys, we are on Teketeke Nation Live, and the program on air is Silenced Truth. And we're just trying to understand, hizi pressure ambazo ziko kwa maisha ambazo na to overburden kila siku, we have not been able to demonstrate our full capacities because tunajaribu kuimpress society. Nataka kuwa dem because society inaona ya kwamba rangi ya thao ndio rangi. But kuna rangi zingine mob, hata navy blue ziko zote ni rangi. I want to drive a particular type of car because nataka kuimpress, for example, Subaru boys. So why should I stop living my own life? Niishi life ya society because nataka kufulfill zile expectations. And please, kimbia pale YouTube, it is Teketeke Nation Live. Fanya makeke, subscribe mara 10 kama inawezekana, but please subscribe. Doris, I appreciate that we can't control how people are posting their stuff online. For example, there is no way I can stop people to put their photos and videos of the things they're doing in Kilifi, for example, doing along the beach. But what you mean is I have a choice to make if I want to become a slave to what I'm seeing, or if I can make very independent decisions that I've seen it, but I'm not volunteering to be part of this. Right?
Yes. It's a very personal decision.
So what is the big problem that our young people are not able to make this decision? That nimeona wase. The young people, for example, watoka pa madeni wafanye maharusi, wako pa madeni wanunue magari. And you know, these mess lifestyles. What stops them from making rational decisions?
Interesting question. I think we are also looking for gratification from places that are not necessarily, let me not say sober, but we're just looking for gratification. Because when you go to online and then this, I know there has been research around it, the dopamine effect where you get a certain rush because of maybe something, the social media offers that. So, guys who can't make rational decisions, it's not even, it's just like some sort of gratification that you're looking for, some emptiness that you've not sat down and tried to fulfill. Because social media is supposed to offer you a platform to socialize. Ideally, that is, we are social beings, so we will socialize, whether online or in book, and we will. But now when you are so much influenced by people to make decisions that are not proper, that are not sober, then you need to look at a few things. One being, what are people lacking? Things like your own values. You see people, let's say, who would enjoy nudity online, and not necessarily, let me say, what can I put it? People would post naked photos. And there are people who would have those accounts, who you'd follow, and you'd never do that. Because for you, in art, there's the art where people do nude things, and it's an art on its own. It actually pays very well. People do that. So if you're following that and you're into that kind of art, then that is okay. But if you're following and you think, because someone else posted a nude photo then and got followers, I can also do the same to get followers.
Minaja aliweka naweka.
So wewe uko ready kupata hiyo clash? When people critique you, are you able to handle that? When you see that people are buying, let's say, people are in even some trips Kilifi or nama question nama photos zenye zimekubali, and you want to go there, does it satisfy what you want? Do you even know what brings you joy? People think, let me give you this example. People say the waters have a certain calming effect, which I agree. But if I were to get the vacation of my dream, it wouldn't be the beach. It would be the bush. So, do we even sit down and imagine what brings you joy? Is it just because people are...
Maybe we don't know even.
Maybe we don't know. We don't know our values. We don't know what we stand for. We don't know where we come from. Because as much as our families and culture influences us, we should never forget where we come from.
We shouldn't.
We should not forget what kind of families we have. I may have a colleague that, let's say, we earn the same salary and all that. That colleague's salary ni pocket money.
Na wewe
mimi ni everything.
Everything. Hii ndio capital yako ya life.
Kabisa. Yeye anishi kwa nyumba alipewa na mzazi. They have houses, they have farms, and even the family does send
one or two bundles. Yeah. It happens. It happens.
It happens. Alafu unaanza compete na yeye. Unaanza kusema I want to buy.
You run mad.
Utashindwa. Higher, even in your own home. Let me say, like your kids. You look at your kids, and when they grow up, kuna mmoja mwenye unajua tu vizuri. Honestly, huyu hata asome kitabu. Imekataa. Boss. And that kid anaona huyu mwingine, like now at some point anaanza kucompete na the others. Anaanza kuona, I must be like them and all that. So you too, me I would say, go back to whatever your ground is, and especially values. What do you stand for? If it's religion, if it's work, if it's social stuff, if it is your family, where do you stand in all that? Once you identify that gap, then it will be a bit easier, because it won't be perfect. Things change.
Sure.
Come right now, you maybe you wasema watu wengine huko Nairobi ni prayers za wazazi zimetukipe. So what happens when huyo mzazi haiko? What happens when your parent is not there and they cannot pray for you? What happens when, let's say today, God forbid, you are married to someone and they're not there anymore?
It happens.
Whether through death or divorce. What happens when that job is done? When you can no longer do it? What happens when that man is gone? What happens when your faith is tested? Because you will be tested. You can't say, I believe every day I'm perfect in terms of my faith.
Things would happen.
Things happen. And that's sometimes when I come to hey God, man.
Hii ni snigori. Hii unanichezea Nebukadneza.
Hii hapana, nimekataa. You know?
So we need to get to a level that we should understand kuna stuff interesting online, but we need to look beyond what is happening online to make sober and rational decisions. In as much as people would share everything they have, we need to make a choice.
Make a choice.
That if I want to copy and become what they are, it is my personal choice and I decide.
It is. It is. And at some point, you have to know where you are in terms of social presence. When these things were coming up, the Facebook, the Twitter,
yes.
we're just getting on all the platforms. I think at some point I was on more than 10 platforms.
And so you need to know, you stick to maybe, for example, Instagram, or stick to
Twitter or Facebook. So
where you think you fit best.
You fit best, and the people you follow serve the interest that you want. So at some point I had to say some platforms which are to
okay, wacha nazo focus.
Ni focus on something else. And but again, I'll go back to business. If you are in business, then this is
you need to
a game changer.
To maximize,
To maximize on all the platforms. But even as you maximize on that, the good thing with business is different from personal accounts. Because with business, you'd want to see things that your customers like. And at some point, those customers will influence even your personal decision. Let's say you're a lady and you're selling household stuff, and people tell you to deliver into their homes. You'll go and meet a customer, so many go like, what am I doing? I am poor, or I am not in that level, or you see things and they get into you. So again, I would think that you need again to go into those grounds. That's why we see the likes of our mama wa sokoni. You know, those mamas have never changed. Years and years wanaingia na proni yao, naingia na nini, but unasikia mama Gikomba anauza mtumba, akona rentals.
Yes.
Unasikia mama anauza mboga, but mama akona shamba sijui analieka ngapi analima. You know, because those women choose their customers on a drive. Wanaingia na maprado.
Yanauzia anarudi na focus kwa kazi yake.
Ni profit. Na kutreat customers wake fiti. They don't get into what is due. I have to.
Unataka kudress hivi. No.
It's a good influence, but again, you got to just
be careful.
Yeah.
So I wanted to check. So how can we unlearn? If there is something like unlearning.
It is
how
there.
Can we unlearn easy societal pressures, societal expectations, and then start learning how to set up our own goals, personal targets, so that niishi by my own terms, not the terms of my environment.
And I like that you've used the word unlearn, because most of us have learned things not consciously. We just pick them along the way. And the decision to unlearn these things must come from a point of self-awareness. Because again, pia you can unlearn, inaweza kuwa na influence, you know. Tunaona news, tunaona nini. So unaweza unlearn kumbe you are unlearning the good things.
So we only need to unlearn the bad ones.
That
the retrogressive ones. As per
you,
yes.
The things that you want to do. Because let's say, I know this is a very delicate discussion and I won't get into it that much, but I know there's been a lot of things about religion and faith and all that. And what we're talking into having maybe following a certain thing, and they're saying they're now religious, they're just faith-based and all that. There are things that maybe your church, the particular church that you're brought up in, for me I'm a Christian, that help to know certain things. For example, things like tithing and all that. So the people who are unlearning those things that they don't need to tithe, but as an individual, is tithing important to you as a person? Let's say things like where by traditions, things to do with around dowry payment and all that. There are things that I would still want to enjoy. There are certain traditions that are done around that that actually that feel me. It's
not nice.
It's very nice. They make me feel I belong. You know, the way I see Kikuyu traditions around marriage. You go to kwa kina msichana, you go kwa kina kijana, and you have to pay 99 goats, and you never pay them in full, because every time a man goes into their in-laws, it's like wanapeleka moja. Just don't go empty-handed. You know, such things for some people have meaning.
Yes, they do.
But there are things that you need to unlearn. For me, if I may share, the thing that I really want people to unlearn is about expectations in terms of milestones in life. Like you need to finish school, get a job. Unemployment is real.
Unemployment is a beast out here.
It is. So if you don't get a job, then what? Do you lose yourself? A society expects you to get to some point and get married. Let's say at 25. If you're not married at 25, then does it mean that your life has ended? If you get married and you don't get children, does it mean that your life has ended and you don't have an identity? If at some point you get divorced, which is also another thing that has a lot of stigma, then does it mean that you're an outcast, that you're not supposed to enjoy life because suddenly you're divorced, or you stay in a marriage, it's a toxic marriage, you guys are fighting,
but you're sticking in there because you want to have that social acceptance.
Exactly. Alafu mnauana.
Yeah.
Kishawana ndio wanasema, "Oh, they used to fight."
Paki walikuwa wanapigana tu, hata waliniambia.
Exactly. So do we want to stay in that because we have to fit in? we need like if you're in a group of your in a group with friends, and these friends are doing so well, does it mean that you will always get into debt for you to
match up?
I think that you unlearn. And unlearning is not fitting in and telling your friends that if they are good friends, telling them, hey, maze mimi leo siezi.
Naivasha lakini I think this time around niko na shughuli na family, mimi sitakuja.
Hata sisi kwa shughuli niko broke.
Kitu akako.
Let's
to be honest.
To that point, mimi ni Mungu honest, and I thank God that I have very good friends. My friends tawambia, maze leo kama mtaka lazima enjoy you are picking the tab, siko. Nile siku niko fit niko like, leo na wa treat. You know, we need to be, even your family. Wanakuliza pesa nini.
Uwezi waambia tu, I'm sorry, saizi siwezi afford.
We need to reach that point where we are being very honest. Even with our family, wajue ukiwa nayo, wewe si mchoyo.
But ukikosa that is it.
Ukikosa, they should know pia wewe hawezi. Or uko nayo, but that is just enough to pay your kids' school fees. So unlearning things like not saying no to people, and also saying yes to yourself. Because again, as the thing that we are used to is unless you have satisfied everyone else, you can't enjoy.
Yes. So lazima usotolee watu kwanza ndio wewe upate bakshishi.
Imagine.
Which is wrong.
Mtu akikuuliza today, who is your favorite person on this earth today?
It's a tough question.
Who would you say if I asked you? Who is your favorite person?
Let me not answer on camera.
But you've thought about other people. When you I think why is it my kids and all that?
But the favorite person to Moses is me.
Yeah, it's Moses. You should start with, you cannot give from an empty cup. If someone tells you, rate your favorite person, 1 to 10, and you start thinking, ni mtoto wangu, ni wife, ni nani, do you ever sit and think, I need to rate myself first, who am I? And if someone told you to rate yourself 1 to 10, what would you rate yourself?
Mimi niko juu jo.
So ni ngapi?
Siwezi cheza 11 out of 10.
No, the scale ni 1 to 10. So
I want you to bust your scale to an 11 to 10.
No, that's a good thing that at least you know where unaweza rate. There are people when mtu akimuuliza, how do you rate yourself 1 to 10? And they'll say, I think a 7. How can you be a 7? Yes, you're not perfect, but how can you be a 7? Doesn't mean that you hate yourself. You always a 10. So those things that are learning that you're very confident in your skin, and learning that you come first. It's not being egoistic or something or self-centered, but you cannot give from an empty cup. So you take care of yourself first,
and then
take care of others. If you take care of others before taking care of yourself, you will always be empty.
Sure.
And then learning that it's okay to say yes to yourself.
And let me just check with you, because I think many people, especially young people, struggle to say no. So we one thing, the two aspects. One, many people have been raised in a way that they are never used to being told no.
Yeah.
So every time they ask for something, they make a request, their expectation is that ntaambiwa yes, ntapewa. They have never been in a world whereby you explain yourself out, but I tell you, Doris, I appreciate, but I'm sorry, I can't. Two, there are people who whenever they are requested of anything by anyone, anywhere, they can never say no. So it's a big problem under the sun.
It is. It is, and also there are people who don't know how to say yes. I remember there's a time, I think around 2017, and I was in church, and my pastor said, for him, he's only used to giving. It was actually a New Year sermon I will never forget. And he said, it's very easy for him to give. He would give money, he would give time, he would give meaning to people. But he doesn't know how to say yes. So as much as we say we don't know how to say no to people we give, because then we learn the art of giving. We don't know the art of receiving. Because we are
I get you.
We are supposed to give. So that's why we never say no. We are supposed, if it's your kids, if they ask you, I need this, say yes. If it's your wife, they tell you they want this, they want to go to the salon, you say yes, 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 even when you cannot. So it's not knowing how to say no, but it's something that we've been conditioned to, that we always need to help, we always need to give. Even sometimes we put this for Christians in the Bible, that we need to give for you to be blessed. It's okay, it's good to give, but do we ever learn the art of receiving? Because we need to receive. The hands are open like this. You give and you receive. So if your hands are like this, you're not getting a balance. You always need to give and you need to receive. So as you give out to people, then you should know, is it a place that I can get something, not necessarily in equal measure or the same thing. If I'm giving you my time, then what am I getting out of this? If I'm giving you my money, is it that I can depend on you when I need it? If it's at work and you're putting in effort, and you're going out of the whatever duties, and you're giving your all, then what are you getting it? Are you getting experience? Are you getting promotion? Are you getting money in your business? So that's a balance. And just because there's a book that I read this year, which I think has also been very instrumental, by Shonda Rhimes, the chick who writes the best movies and series all over. And it's the year of yes, when she decided to tell herself yes, because she was used to being behind the screen, writing every good script, but she was never putting herself out there for people to appreciate her art. And that used to eat into her, even her mental health and all that. So she would binge eat and grow big. She grew fat. She would never appear on screen because she was afraid of such things. And huku nje, kila mtu anaongelea scandal, kila mtu Grey's Anatomy, kila mtu sijui nini. And she's the boss behind it. So she got to a place and she said, you know what? I'm going to say yes. I'm going to say yes to being healthy. I'm going to say yes to going on those shows and owning that this show is mine. People are going to tell me that you did good, and I'm going to say thank you. Hey Moses, you're doing so good. You're showing us.
I would have said that. You know, we've not really learned the art of accepting.
Of receiving. And to answer your question about us not saying no, I think it's a balance. And mostly we don't say no because we don't know how to say yes. Those two things, they must go together. You say, no, I cannot do this. And yes, I'm going to take time off because no. I'm saying no, I cannot come to your wedding because I have said yes, I'm going. That weekend I scheduled that I'm going for a vacation alone. Because I'm saying no because I don't come to an event, I'll be sleeping. I've been tired the whole week. I'm in the house doing absolutely nothing. So for me, I think it's a balance. I never want to say we don't know how to say no without knowing how to say yes to myself and to yourself, especially as youth. Because we need to say yes, nimejaribu lakini imekataa. Yes, I know they are my friends, but I'll tell them no. I cannot do that.
There's this bit of at the moment there are many WhatsApp groups. If from the different high schools you went to different universities, so you find to small groups of classmates here and there, the alumni associations, and you realize within those small groups bado kuna classes, social stratification. So you start wondering how watu walikuwa same class at some point. Kwa hii class ya wanafunzi 50, out of 50 tena wengine wanafungua ka sub group kwa watu 7 hapa nje. So social stratification, why is it a problem to us? Why can't we stay together in one group? Mimi sina gari uko nayo, we are in the same group, all of us are happy. Unaishi kwa sababu, lifi sababu, mimi naishi kwa soko, but all of us are happy. What happens within even these small groups? We used to go to the same class, tunakula githeri pamoja. We used to attend the same class with the same teacher. The same class, the same uniform. What has changed?
This is tricky. And I start from a point of appreciation. We'll never be the same in life.
Never ever.
And at some point we need to appreciate that people overgrow certain platforms. And number two, there are people who share certain things. For example, at some point I'm not a mother. So if I go into a group that day in day out they're discussing diapers, it's good. Then that's not me. And it's okay for them to discuss. So can they have another group where they discuss?
Why don't discuss diapers?
It's okay. Let them get into that group and discuss their kids and discuss about it. There's another group that we find maybe we have a hobby. We read. Like personally, I do read quite a lot. And I find in that group there are 3-4 people who we read a lot. Then it's okay for us to retreat and form that group. There is a place where in life you have, let's say you've gotten into a place where you're getting wealth at a certain rate compared to other people, and you might want someone who also saw the same.
Who's at par with you.
Who's at par with you. It's okay. let's have a common ground where yes, at some point the dynamics help us a lot, because when we come together as a whole group, then you can say nilikuwa na shida sijui nilikuwa nataka la mno kwambia mimi najua mtu ndio huyu, you know, I wanted maybe a certain thing, and unasema niko na huyu nilikuwa nataka kununua sijui mbegu in bulk, mtu anakuambia mimi napanda mbegu. That common thing. But also let's not think that people getting into some smaller subgroups is a way that says maybe we are in a different social class.
We're inferior or superior?
Or superior. Let's take it as a place where we share very close common ideas, and those smaller groups offer us a place where we don't hold back. Because sometimes in this larger group, let's say umepata deal ya 50 million. And you know very well in that very group mtu mwenye na shule, they have been struggling to get a job since you left school. Several years.
So mention that 50 million hapo ataanguka zrai.
Kama unamdharau.
Atasema mama favorite million. Wa, hiyo magunia mahindi ama ni pesa.
Exactly. Ama you talk about frustrations with your business. I used to make 1 million in a month. Sasa I make 750.
Atuna make 750? This is the money mtu anafikiria kipata for lifetime.
Exactly.
Imemtosha.
Exactly. So there are two ways to look at it. That it's okay to have the smaller groups within the bigger groups, because the bigger group will never satisfy the niche needs of people. But again, it's a good place to notice that within the larger groups, people are different, and we need to be accommodative of each other. Let's say kama kuna mchango, mimi nikitoa 1000, mtu mwingine atoe 50.
It's okay.
Because that is what they could afford. So getting to a place where we accommodate each other in the larger groups, even in society, even in families. Your brother mtakuwa na project ushago ama wapi ama hapa. Your sister or brother atasema mimi mnipatie tu budget. Alafu
anauliza kuna wasana anauliza gati mkishachora kila kitu mnitumie. So kazi yako ni kuchora. Uko na handwriting kwa family.
I never thought about it.
If you realize in most family setups, ukiambiwa kuandika, wanakuanga wamepima wewe pesa lakini handwriting ni nzuri. So andika, ndio kuna mtu akupaswa kuni.
Na kuna mtu akupaswa kuni, na kuna nini. Na itafika place uta realize maybe wewe kuandika pia uko poa kuweka records.
Yes.
And it's okay.
Za wenzako.
And it's okay. Ule mtu anatoa do, yeye hazifuatilia vitu.
No.
Anapeana. Na mkifika place mko very okay with that. Yes, tunajua pesa iko. So badala ya wewe give in your time, your money as a resource, you'll give time.
Sure.
And it's something that is so normal.
Time is extremely valuable.
It is and very expensive. So wewe unajua mimi, as much as I don't have money resource, I have time resource.
Yes. Sure.
Ndio YouTube umesema nikakumbuka sisi madema tukienda hizi get together, kuna mtu mwenye wewe uambiwa katika chumbani.
Sijasema muende mwende kuangalia huyu kwa nyanya tu.
Kuna wanyanya, kuna ule wa kupika, kuna ule wa kuleta drinks na kuserve, you know, and all that. And you know what? Those dynamics are perfect.
Yes.
Unaangalia unajua kuna ule wa kuosha vyombo. And
we have vyombo na urumianga.
Something funny, I love doing that. I love washing utensils afterwards. Continue satisfaction with that. So unafika place and you realize si ati ni kukufanya uko inferior.
Sure.
But mkikuwa hivyo, like at the end of the day
we have got different capabilities.
Alafu mnakaa chini you enjoy that meal. Umekata nyanya, umeserve drinks and all that, and you enjoy.
Na kuna yule mwingine naye mostly yeye huambiwa cheza na watoto hapa. Huyo anajuanga achaipika mahali akablanda ama kitungi yake ndokanga hivi. Badala ya kukata vitungana unganishaga, so anaambiwa cheza na watoto hapo, watoto cheza watoto. Alafu I wanted to check with you. So what you mean in essence is that we need to accept at the end of the day that one, in as much as tuko in society, kuna some interests ambazo ko very special. Need to maybe one or two people within this larger group ambao wanaweza understand. And also one of the things that young people need to understand, umesema something about the society expects ukishatoka shule, for example, umepata that chance, ni job, ni kuoa ama kuolewa, ni watoi, ni nyumba kujenga na gari. But we need to feel free and start in our own way. Naweza toka shule na nianze na gari. Mimi nakimbia tu Range Rover yangu. Wewe na nini nyumba, bibi? Mimi na spin tu Range Rover. And then niende kwa nyumba or something else, so that I make decisions kulingana na vile my situation ilivyo. But I need to understand within marafiki zangu, my social networks, there is someone who will have a bigger car than mine. There is someone who will have even a bigger car when I'm trekking. And that is life.
It's life.
There is someone atakuwa na shamba 10 acres, sina hata quarter.
Uko kwa streets.
And it is life.
It's life.
And I need to appreciate it. There is someone atakuwa na bibi 5. Mimi hata demu amekula fare yangu hakuna. You know?
Ukweli?
Yes, you know, it's in life at times we blame people. Unaweza kuwa na struggle hapa, girlfriend au party. Kuna mtu anapambana na 5.
Ukweli?
Anashindwa, how do I manage? Doris, speaking to our young people out here, the people who are struggling a lot with mental pressure kwa sababu hizi stuff zenye unasema wao zimewalemea. Mtu ana conform kwa ile anataka kutravel kwa group kwenda Mombasa kuogelea, anataka kufanya hii mambo ya rurasho, anataka ile baby shower, all those things, you know. So, ameshindwa kusema no, ameshindwa kusema yes. Pressure inamaliza. Anakopa pesa kwenda kulipa kwa hizi stuff tu zenye if you ask unaona kweli hakuthink vizuri. Looking into this camera, talk to our young people. How can we attain our freedom?
I'll put it this way.
Yes.
When I was coming here, I watched someone. She's a life coach. Her name is Corey Lowe. And she was talking about things about societal pressures and all that. And there was also another lady. I think her name is let me just see if I can. Alana Joel Dasma. It's a TED Talk for 2016. And she was also talking about the things about people expecting Russians to always be doctors, engineers, and all that. So for her pressure comes from the fact that she's Asian, but she's an artist. And looking through that, I came up with a few things that I would like just to share. That I've talked about. One was appreciating your background. That we need to know where we are coming from, what we are capable of, and not necessarily your background in terms of how you grew up, even when you are where you are at the moment. Just appreciate there are those foundations that you have that are different from people. So do that. And then another thing that I also got is alone time. Being alone does not mean that you're lonely. And for you to get a clear thing about where you are and what you are in life, you need to retreat and make your personal decisions. You need to appreciate, even if you're married, you cannot be with your spouse 24/7. If you're dating or if you're at work, get even if it's 30 minutes and just think about yourself. That's why people guys who do meditation and yoga do talk about things like journaling and meditation. Such things give you alone time. And you know, have you ever been with your thoughts, alone with your thoughts? That's when you know how much of a beast is in your head. Because if you're always around people, then it means there's distraction. But you need to know what beast is in your head. That's when, if you get that alone time, then you know, am I even suicidal? Am I depressed? Am I what? If you're with people that you're always happy and all that,
Kumbe deep inside?
You are burning, you're breaking apart. You need to have alone time. That's when you can only realize that I need to take a step to do certain things. Another thing that I came up with is have a support system. Yes, we need to do things by ourselves, but we need to identify people to help us do things. You will go far if you're alone, but you'll go farthest if you're with people. You'll do mighty stuff if you're with people, but not just everyone. If, for example, there are families by birth, and I just recently learned that it's blood of blood is thicker than water. It's blood of the covenant is thicker than water of the womb. That
blood of the covenant is thicker than the water of the womb.
Meaning there are people that you can be born with, like you're related, Johnny Bradango and sister, but they do not serve the purpose of that support system. They're actually people who bring you down. So you need to identify your friends. If it's your friends, if it's your children, if it's your spouse, even your sisters, it's okay. But you need to identify a support system that will make your life easier, that will make your work easier, that will uplift you when you're down. Then you need to have that person you can call, and they don't have to be someone who's related to you by blood or by some paper. It needs to be someone who will be there for you. So you can. It's a choice for you to pick who your support system is, and you must have a support system. That's a fact.
You can't be a lone ranger.
You can't be a lone ranger. We are social human beings, and you need to have a support system. And another thing that I also got was boundaries.
You just set some boundaries.
Boundaries and choice. You need to identify how far can you go. You cannot just be pushed around and be told, Doris, you are a woman, so it means that in every other congregation you're the secretary. Where they're all men and I'm a woman, I need to be the secretary. No. If what happens if I'm convening that meeting and I'm the boss on that table? Doesn't mean that because I'm the boss with men only, I'm supposed to write the minutes. Unfortunately, I won't do that. So you need to know what your boundaries are. If, for example, you're in a place and it's a male, or not here I'm talking like a woman, like a lady. If you're in a place and you're a lady and they're all men, alafu anakuambia you need to serve them. Na chakula iko hapo umeleta kila kitu, and then they're telling you also need to serve them. That's a role that was just said that women must have. Then what? If it's men and you're going on a date and a woman has actually told you, a lady has told you, let's go out for lunch, it's the initiative mpaka umetafuta place ya kwenda.
Mimi napeleka tumbo na kutafuna. The only thing natumia ni meno yangu na tumbo yangu.
And it's good to ask them. You should ask, who is going to pay for this bill? Because they tell you to Kempinski. Wewe hauna deal ya Kempinski, then I think we need to set boundaries, we need to have a choice. And if someone tells you, and this is someone maybe you respect, you love and all that, and they tell you, let's do this, Musa, you have a choice to tell them no. Sure. I won't do this because this is not in line with what I believe in or what I think are my value systems, or this does not fit in my schedule right now. We need to reschedule this and do this. So we also need to have that power of choice, which is a big thing. And then lastly, and also for mental health, let's seek help. Generally, I know in Kenya, mental health is expensive.
It's expensive, yeah.
It's expensive. And I'm speaking from a point of someone who sought such services. That you'll get what I recently saw someone saying that they were told to pay 3,000 shillings an hour.
Hey.
An hour for a counselor. My friend, it's expensive.
It's expensive, yeah.
Let's look for alternatives. If we can get that in whatever area that we are comfortable with. I know if you go online, like in social platforms, there is demonization about faith-based kind of therapy. But if that is something that you are okay with, then seek it.
As long as it can help you.
It can help you, and you know it can help you, then go for it. Places like Madare, they are way cheaper than those private places. Go ask for information, you'll get it. Seek, go online. Right now we have people who offer those services, either free or at a very subsidized fees online. Do that. Talk to people who are let's say masters in your areas. For example, if you're going to get married, then talk to someone who's been in marriage and get to a point where you're telling them, mimi sitaki unipatie story, sitaki uniambie bliss, mimi niambie facts. What finances? Let's not just talk about getting married. Two people are coming together. Kuna finances, watu watakuja. Kuna getting your things together. Kuna investments. Kuna nini? Ongea hizo vitu zote zenye huko. Kuna health. There are so many things. Kuna cultural clashes. Seek help from whatever platform that you can, that is okay with you, that is sober. Usianze kwenda ati because Doris alisema haizi enda kwa pastor,
then you also quickly
unasema siwezi enda kwa pastor because Doris alisema haizi enda kuongea na maybe so a friend on such an issue, then pia unasema huwezi ongea na your friends because your friends are different. Kuna wale friends wenye watakujenga na kuna wale watakubomoa mbaya. Parents, their parents who watakujenga watakubomoa. So seek who you are identify and be very intentional about the people you are seeking those advice from, the pieces of advice from, who you are seeking help from, and do that. And then in terms of growth, because I know for young people like us, we really want to grow, whether it's business wise, whether it's work wise and all that. Have a mentor. People don't emphasize that enough. It took maybe some of us years for us to get mentors. Mentors don't have to be people who are CEOs and all that. Just get someone who atakwambia, hey, maze, unataka kuinvest, unataka kuanza kulima nini? Mahindi ukambani haifanyi kazi. Wewe lima nini? Vitunguu. Have someone, a voice of reason you can bounce ideas on. Someone who will be brutal enough to tell you
this.
Stop. So I think that would be my partition.
Yeah, so Bruce, nashukuru sana. Just so that I ensure uniruki story. Are you looking at your schedule? in the next 1 month. The next 1 month. Are you in a position where you get some time? We talk about menstrual health.
We will. We'll find time and talk about it. Most likely in September.
In September?
Yeah.
In the next 1 month?
In the next 1 month. At least September is okay. Yeah, we can.
Because we need to talk about it because, especially looking at, so this issue of menstrual health has not been given adequate attention in this manner. Those of us who can afford, tunachukulianga ni kimzaha. But there are people out there whose voice are so voiceless that wameshindwa kutoka kwenda shule kabisa. There are girls out there wenye walidreamiwa shule liisha because of kukosa pads.
And you know, leave alone pads. When I was looking at societal pressure and the issue of mental health when coming here, I came across something that I have never known. Let me tell you, I think I wrote it somewhere. It's called premenstrual dysphoria disorder.
Hiyo kizungu na nini mingi? In one sentence, hiyo maneno yote.
I know for us, ladies napenda kuita kama PMS. Hiyo ni premenstrual syndrome where unapata ladies are very irritable maybe towards their period, 1 week towards their irritable.
Kuna mademu nakutana nao wamejam. Okay.
But
some
it happens.
I'm a bit careful.
Because for some people it can be something else, but there are also people who suffer from PMS a lot and it can mess you. It's okay, you know. It can be good or bad. Wengine tu wanakuwa happy, wengine wanakuwa sad. So kuna the guys dealing with mental health walifanya more research and there's even a worse form of that. That's what's called the premenstrual dysphoria disorder that can lead to depression and actually tension and anxiety that is clinically diagnosed. So even as we talk about mental health, unajua watu wenye maybe tumeenda shule wenye tuko na access to people like gynecologists and all that, we actually can talk about this.
Yes.
But we imagine mtu kama mwenye huyo mwenye hawezi afford
ako tu pale mshadha
na pad ni hata zingine ni 30 bob. Hawezi afford kama hiyo, then ana go through such things.
Yeah.
So you are giving them pads, hata hawajui anaenda huko nyamaza, amekuwa tu anaingia into depression na hajui depression inakuwa caused by something that ni kitu yenye hata haelewi ina happen because for them the only thing ni pads. Sisi watu wenye tuseme let's say watu tupenda shule au can afford a little bit of income, we talk about cramps. I think umesikia like what talking about cramps and all that. We can afford painkillers. Mtu mwenye hawezi afford hata pad
ana katungu humu nayo.
Alafu sasa una imagine you want them to stay in school. Yes, you've given them pads.
Yeah.
Have you looked at other things?
So this is something we need to talk about.
We need to talk about, and we need more people to come on board, and we need more men to come on board to talk about
Yes. So men and boys need to be part of this process.
Exactly.
That's why we need to do it with you.
We need to. Nikuulize now that umeongea about this. Do you know unajua hata venye pad huwa inavaliwa?
No, now no, I think sijajua, but I'm a student of life, and I think as we do this together, I'm happy to learn to spread the good message, so that using hii space ambayo tuko nayo hapa tuanze kuchange watu pale nje. My fellow men,
that's the first assignment. Please go and learn how to guys put on pads, guys put on tampons, and even learn about the menstrual cups. Yeah, that's a challenge I'm giving you.
I take the challenge.
Please do learn because we need to even as we talk about it, then you need to know why do we need these pads? Zinakaaje? Tukipatia mtu hii yenye inakaa hivi itamsaidia the whole day ama hapana? You know, vitu ndogo kama hizo.
This we need to talk about this. And on that day we need to plan with my team so that we have enough time to fanya hizi stuff, and then on that day I'll talk to my fellow men. His staff to get in upper shallowly, deeply. To change the world.
We need to.
Yes. Thank you so much for finding time and speaking to us. Thank you also for accepting in advance ya kwamba in September, early September, we do this stuff again. To our viewers, let us learn to say no when we can't. Let us say yes when it is necessary. Until next time, see as we finish, subscribe hapo chini tafadhali, so that as we continue doing this, we also get your support. Subscribe. It is Teketeke Nation Live, and on our program it is Silent Truths. Like I had already mentioned, on this program we mainly talk about stuff ambazo society ingependa kuziweka chini ya carpet, but we think it is important for us to be free. How can we be free? By starting to talk about issues ambazo people don't feel very comfortable about. Ziko tu ndani ya moyo, zinakusumbua, zinakudepress, zinakufinya kila siku. We want to talk about this stuff so that we can become free and have a society ambayo kila mtu ako equal, ana feel ako sawa. Badala ya kuconform kwa societal pressures, WhatsApp group pressures, church pressures, family pressures, hizo zote we can step aside and become ourselves. Kwa nini? Tuchukue sauti yetu, tuzungumzie ukweli wetu na tuishi kwa amani. Thank you so much. See you on Saturday, same time, same place. Thank you and bye bye.